Welcome to In Her Voice. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am passionate about helping women live authentically by listening to their inner voice. Get ready to be inspired by women of all walks of life that have set aside their should-bes and not good enoughs and are standing in their true voice, the voice of wisdom that each and every one of us has inside. Hello, everyone. This is Kelly Covert, and you are listening to episode 45 of In Her Voice. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am excited to talk with you about my newest and most favorite medicine for the soul, and that is sleep. Yes, you heard me right. Not meditation, not journaling, but sleep. And if you're wondering where this is coming from, if it seems sort of out from left field, I will tell you exactly what that is. Over the past couple of weeks, I have been not prioritizing my sleep. I've been staying up too late. I have been getting up too early, and burning that candle on both ends has really thrown me for a loop. And when I started to get really aware of what was happening, what I noticed first was just how I felt. And quite honestly, physically, I was exhausted. I knew that piece of it, but I also started to think about how I was feeling, how I was reacting in the world, how I was showing up. I was cranky. I was in victim mode. I sort of was like, oh, well, of course this happens to me. Why should I be surprised when bad things happen to me? And my expectations for what was going on around me were completely different from how they normally are. And I started to pay attention to that. And I was like, what's going on? Am I in a funk? What's happening here? And I realized it was just because I had not been getting enough sleep. And so as I sat with that, I really had this aha moment of the fact that sleep is so much more than physical for us. I mean, we do need sleep, and it helps our bodies do all of the things our bodies are supposed to do. But sleep is also soul medicine. We need sleep in order to be able to show up as truly us. In order to walk in this world the way we want to walk in this world, we need sleep. Sleep makes it easier. Sleep makes it better. And so I thought, what other awesome thing could I talk about besides this? And you guys know I love to talk about what's coming up in my life, because if it's coming up in mine, I'm sure it's coming up in other people, because you guys are just like me and we have so much in common. I've been really getting very clear with myself on, okay, what is in my control when it comes to sleep? Because let's face it, and I really want to be clear on this distinction, some things with sleep are out of our control. So just for example, the other night, I got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Our windows were open. It was about 4:30. And usually I can just go right back to sleep. But my neighbor's dog was barking like from 4:30 until I got up in the morning. And it's hard to go back to sleep when every 20 seconds a dog barks, right? So that was out of my control. If you have a young child who wakes up in the middle of the night, that's out of your control. If you have to work late and then get up early because of your kids, that's what was happening to me quite a bit last week. I was having late rehearsals and concerts and then needing to get up at 6 with my kids to help them get ready for the day. That is out of my control for quite a bit of it, right? Of course, I can always choose to say no to those nighttime events. I can always choose to not get up with my kids. Like, quite frankly, you guys, that's a choice, right? That's something I choose to do. But I prioritize that over my sleep. So, some of the things we can't control, but there are a lot of things that keep us from sleeping our best that we absolutely have control over. So, for example, how many times have you thought to yourself, I'll just watch one more episode of my favorite Netflix show? right? Been there, done that. Or I'll just read one more chapter of this amazing book. It's so good. Or let me just check my Instagram one more time. And then 30 minutes later, you're still scrolling. And I say all of these because I have done these things. And I know that I'm not alone in this, but I really want to get to this place. And this is what I want to encourage you guys to do, where you are really taking that responsibility, every part of your sleep that you can control. So that includes the time that you're going to bed, what you're doing before bed, the environment that you're sleeping in, what time you're waking up, planning the time that you go to bed based on the time that you need to wake up, how much time you're spending on your phone before you go to bed, because it's proven that that can keep you up longer because it's stimulating, right? It's that blue light is very stimulating to our brains. And so it's harder for us to fall asleep if we've been engaging with that blue light. So, how much of that can you really take into your own hands and not do it just because you don't want to feel tired? I mean, that's a really great reason. I mean, that's a good enough reason, really. But when you take it to this deeper level of the fact that when we're tired, we are not in this world in the same way as when we're not tired. We show up differently. We react differently. Our tempers are short. We expect bad things to happen to us, right? All of the things that I mentioned before that I was experiencing, that is not just because we're having a bad day, you guys. If we are really paying attention to this important soul medicine of sleep and prioritizing that as self-care that is non-negotiable, then it's going to be that much easier for us to be in a place where we're seeing the world from a perspective of love and compassion and generosity and empathy, and knowing that God has our backs at any given moment, that the world is not out to get us. And it really can seem like the world is out to get us when we're having one of those days. And I've really been noticing that when I feel like that, almost 100% of the time, I have not had a good night's sleep. To me, that says it all. And maybe this is just me that experiences this, but I don't think so. In fact, I know someone on my team right now, Jillian. She has a little baby girl, and she's not sleeping through the night. And it's hard. And she's talked to me about how challenging it is just to show up. Just to show up and be who you know you can be. So let's make this easier on ourselves. Let's really give ourselves a step up in the game by controlling those aspects of sleep, prioritizing those aspects of sleep that we absolutely can control. And when you can't control them, I think that there's things that we can do too for that. So let's talk about that. So what happens if you have a baby that's getting up in the middle of the night, or if your husband snores, or you have to get up earlier than you want to based on the time that you went to bed the night before, because that does happen, right? So I think that something that we can do that can really help us in those moments of that is really being clear with what our desire is, being clear with what our expectations are. So my desire is that I get as full of night's rest as possible, and I feel rested and recovered and fully me when I wake up in the morning. And when we set that intention, it's not that it's magic, but it's kind of magic. And you're like, okay, Kelly, that's a little woo-woo. I know, but there's something about being in that mental state of focusing on what you want to happen, focusing on what you desire most. And sometimes we get, especially with sleep, into this place of scarcity, right? Where we're focused on, how am I ever going to get enough sleep? All I want to do is get enough sleep. And even when we're saying that all I want to do is get enough, we're implying that we're not going to get enough. That's what we're focusing. We're focusing on the lack. We're focusing on the scarcity. So let's really start to even if it's subtle, to shift our language and to shift our focus and perspective onto what we most want. So even though the baby might wake up in the middle of the night, I am looking forward to feeling rested fully in the morning. So it's just a different way of saying the same thing that we know that we want, but being really clear and really putting that intention forward that we want to wake up rested. And look, that is a temporary fix, right? That is not going to work if you're only getting 5 hours of sleep every night. I recognize that. There is actually like the physical reality that our bodies need sleep. But I do think that will work in a pinch when we're in a position where we feel like those circumstances are a little out of our control, really setting our expectation for what we most want as opposed to what we don't want. And this kind of harkens back to my conversation with Pamela Grout about manifesting, right? When we focus on the things that we want, when we focus on miracles, when we focus on joy, when we focus on amazing things happen to us, when we expect that's what we get. That's what we see more of. And when we focus on what we don't want, and when we focus on the negative, that is what we will be attracting in. So this is just the law of attraction, and this is a universal law. It's like gravity, right? It works on all of us, whether we realize it or not, whether we're aware of it or not. So I do think that is one way that we can have just a little bit more awareness and control over the situation when we're feeling like it's out of our control. What are some other things that you can really do to pay attention to your sleep, to prioritize it? First of all, I think it's important to know how much you need. And everybody is different. I need a solid 8 hours. I can get by on 7 and still feel pretty good, but 8 is my best. 7, okay. Below that, no, don't talk to me that day. I'm just not me. I don't feel like me anymore. And so I really strive to get that 8 hours in, to make sure that I'm in bed with enough time that I can wind down. I like to read in bed before I go to sleep and be asleep and still get that 8 hours. And so I actually use an alarm clock that tells me, if I look at the clock before I go to bed, it will tell me how many hours I have until the alarm clock goes off, which is cool. And I think the alarm on iPhones can do this automatically. I don't have an iPhone, so I don't know about that for sure, but I feel like someone was telling me that. And so, figure it out. Work backwards from when you need to wake up and figure out, okay, if I need 8 hours of sleep and I'm getting up at 6 a.m., I need to be in bed no later than 9:30 because I know that I like to wind down and read for 20 or 30 minutes before I go to sleep. And so then you can just work backwards from there. What do I need to make sure that I'm getting done before 9:30? Take the dog out, brush my teeth, all of those things. And sometimes if you struggle to fall asleep, I have to admit that is not a struggle that I have very often. And when I'm ready, I go to sleep and I stay asleep for most of the night. But if you are someone who struggles, really having a nighttime routine, a nighttime ritual will signal your brain and your body that it's time for bed. So maybe that's a hot shower or a hot bath before bed. Maybe it's a hot cup of tea. I really love to have hot tea with some collagen protein in it, and that just really helps me sleep. I've heard that having some raw, unfiltered honey, even a spoonful straight, or in some hot tea or hot water with lemon is really helpful for promoting a good night's sleep. Really start to figure out what your nighttime ritual is. So figuring out how much sleep you need, knowing what time you need to start getting ready for bed, having a nighttime ritual, and really going from there. So I have a challenge for you guys. I want you guys to do these 2 steps. Figure out how much you need to sleep, come up with your nighttime ritual, and then give yourself that amount of sleep. Give yourself the gift of that for at least 3 days straight and see how you feel. Notice any differences from day to day. See if you're showing up differently in this world. See if you have a more positive outlook on life, if you feel better about your day and about how things are going. And I want to hear from you. If you do this challenge, if you take me on, and what have you got to lose? One episode of Netflix a night? Maybe you will lose that. I admit you might lose that, but what will you gain? So much. So if you're going to take me up on my sleep challenge, my Sleep as Soul Medicine challenge, what I want you to do is take a picture of yourself while you're doing your nightly ritual. So whatever that looks like, maybe it's snuggled up in bed with your puppy and your book, or maybe it's sipping your hot tea, or steamed up mirror from the shower, whatever that looks like for you. Take a picture and post it on Instagram or post it on Facebook. Instagram's actually my favorite, to tell you the truth. So post it on Instagram, on your Insta stories or in your feed, and tag me at Kelly J. Covert, and let's use the hashtag Sleep as Soul Medicine. And we can see what everyone's rituals are. It will be nice to get some ideas and really encourage each other. And I want to hear how you feel. How do you feel after really giving yourself the gift of a full night's sleep? So let me know, keep me posted. And as always, I want to remind you, we need you. You know why we need you? Because you're freaking amazing. And when you show up as you're going to change the world. You're going to change the world around you, and then subsequently change the entire world. And that makes me really, really excited. So always remember, you matter. Show up because you are worthy.